Hey guys, in case you haven't heard, Star Trek Picard is the best Star Trek ever made according to Rotten Tomatoes. According to the New York Times, Picard is finally Star Trek peak TV. It's the best. It is the best Star Trek ever made. Only 2 episodes of Picard, and the critics have already decided that it's better than years and years, decades of everything that has come before it, because it's so topical. It's so current year. And of course, this is coming from Rotten Tomatoes, so you have to know that it's true. It's 100% true. Picard is the best Star Trek. We're going to talk about this in this this editorial on Rotten Tomatoes and sort of the, I guess, reactions to Picard since its launch. Now, I have watched the pilot episode. I have not watched episode 2 yet. I'm actually recording a couple of videos ahead of time. This will come out in a couple days. We're going to be down in Florida for a couple days. We want to have some pre-recorded content in addition to live streams from Galaxy's Edge. Believe it or not, we're going to be in Star Wars land in Disney World. We're going down to check out the new ride. Hope it doesn't break down on us. Anyway, before we get into the video, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're at 92,000, I think, subs. Hoping for 100,000 soon. Thank you guys so much for the support. So this was sent to me on Twitter by Super Saiyan Tai. Thank you for that. And I thought it's worth covering because this seems to happen a lot with any kind of aging franchise. Whatever the most current version of the aging franchise is, that is now the best version because it's current year. So Rotten Tomatoes puts this little chart out where they show that Picard, 2 episodes in is already at 94% Rotten Tomatoes score compared to, the Next Generation, which is only at 89%, and Deep Space Nine is only at 90%. Somehow, the animated series wound up at 93%. So the top 2 Star Treks currently are the animated series and Picard. Enterprise all the way at the bottom at 50%. Hey, Enterprise got better. I actually watched Enterprise the whole way through. They dropped the ball at the end. The very last episode was horrendous. But up until the end, it was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. I didn't expect to. But I digress. Saying that Picard is the best Star Trek, when a lot of people are arguing whether or not it even is Star Trek. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, since so much of it takes place on Earth, it's kind of like if they made T.J. Hooker a sequel to the original Star Trek. Like, yeah, Kirk is retired, now he's a police officer on Earth. You know, and they're wearing street clothes, and it's very pedestrian. That's kind of what Picard would be. Now, to be fair, I did watch the first episode, and I think I was taken in by the member berries. Again, I haven't watched the second episode yet. This is pre-recorded, but I have heard a lot of things about it. I've heard that Picard gets a major dressing down by an admiral, and they bring up some of the stuff that came up in All Good Things with his brain disorder and all of this. And I think they're going to switch gears. I think it was a bait and switch, personally. I think they were trying to lure you in with the member berries. Remember Picard Day? Remember the Enterprise D? Remember 10 Forward? Remember all these things you loved about Next Gen? Okay, you've got your dose of member berries. Now we're going to switch gears, and the show's going to be all about all these new characters. And it's going to be very un-Trek-like, but you better like it because it's current year. It's the best Star Trek. So let's talk about this. This is on Rotten Tomatoes. Star Trek TV shows ranked by Tomato Meter. Now, the thing that's really unfair about this is you're comparing, I think all of the newer Star Trek shows, save for Enterprise, had a 7-year run. We're talking decades of seasons of television, and you're going to put that up against Picard, which has had 2 episodes. And that's including some of the best episodes of all time for all of these series, along with a few duds. So this is not a fair comparison. And I really think this is, just clickbait. This is just clickbait. We're talking about the history of Star Trek. And they talked about how they went to Star Trek Discovery after the movies. I have not watched Discovery. I have no desire to watch Discovery. I'll tell you what turned me off to it. I saw a picture of the Klingons. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I am out. They don't look anything like Klingons. I don't know what the hell they are, but they are not Klingons, and I'm not even going to watch this. So they talk about the year 2020, current year, just gave fans a celebration in one of its most iconic characters with the January premiere of Star Trek Picard, with Stewart reprising his role in the new CBS All Access streaming series that also stars a bunch of newcomers. And we've got, Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis are coming back. Brent Spiner's coming back, and he looks weird as hell, but at least he's back, I guess. Which of the 7 live-action TV and streaming series is best? Have a look below to find out which TV titles scored the highest with critics in our Trek TV by Tomato Meter list. I'm just like, disagree with the results. Tell us in the comments. Did they lock the comments on this one? That list is wrong. Oh, this is from 2 years ago. God, this thing... Okay, so they just revised it. This is crazy. Well, let's go out and see what Picard is doing now. Let's talk about this. Looks like Picard's dropping. It's only 90% now. Picard is only 90%. So again, this is Rotten Tomatoes. This is just all, it's all a marketing ploy. It's all bullshit. Episode 1, 100%. Okay, now here's where we see the change, right? Episode 1 has 100% Rotten Tomatoes score because it was full of member berries. Remember Star Trek? Remember 10 Forward? Poker? Yeah. Hey, you like that, right? And then we get to episode 2. Picard gets a dressing down, and we start to focus more on these other characters. I am wondering if this isn't going to drop as the season progresses. That it's going to be very, very front-loaded critically. And then once people realize it's not really a Star Trek show, if that isn't just going to kind of keep dropping. Again, I don't know where the show's going to go, but I really feel that this is kind of how they're handling franchises these days. They hit you with the member berries. We saw it with The Force Awakens. They kind of ease you back into the world, and then they pull the rug out from underneath you. Because they incorrectly think that even if they lose a large portion of the old school fandom, that they're going to have enough new fans to compensate, to compensate for the lack of old fans. And that's not the case. I think this show is going to be very front-loaded. I think it's going to start out strong, and then I think people who realize it's not really a sequel to Next Gen, not in the way that a lot of people would have liked to have seen, are going to be very disappointed. And given what I've heard about the latest episode, which again I haven't watched yet, this is pre-recorded, they're probably going to wind up killing Picard off by the end of the show. Probably in a really stupid way. But I have no doubt that they're going to destroy his character. They're going to thrash Picard because they can, to make room for these new characters. Now, this is really interesting. I actually made the comparison to Picard being more like Blade Runner than Star Trek, and I don't think it's an unfair comparison. I actually put out on Twitter about a week ago, I said, you watch that this Picard is not actually Jean-Luc Picard. You watch that this Picard is actually a replicant or a synth of Picard with Picard's memories, and the reason he's dreaming of Data is it's like dreaming of unicorns. And some other people are starting to pick up on this too. The vibe I got from what I've seen of Picard so far is that it's going for more of a generic sci-fi Minority Report kind of a thing than it is for Star Trek. And again, there's nothing wrong with that kind of a show. It's just, it's not something that people who have followed the franchise for decades want to see. And we've seen this with Doctor Who. I just did a video, and now it's going to be a couple days apart since I did that video compared to this one, talking about Doctor Who and talking about how, fans have a lot invested in these franchises. And while they do appreciate sometimes, clever twists and surprises, you can't really undermine core characters. You can't really undermine the logic of the universe to make a show current year when you've got people that have invested decades of their lives and tons of money and time into a franchise. You can't expect them to support your franchise. So usually what happens is they wind up rebooting or doing a soft reboot. And I think, honestly, that's why J.J. Abrams did the Star Trek reboot, because he's like, I don't want to be bothered with the baggage of canon, so let's just start over and come up with a kind of plausible way to do that. And it doesn't always work out very well. But I think it's really crazy to actually say that this is the best Star Trek. I'm going to watch this because it is dropping week over week, and we'll see where we're at the end of the season. Now, this has been confirmed to have another season, and I believe they're bringing Whoopi Goldberg in for another season. I I can feel it. They're going to destroy Picard. They're going to completely destroy him by the end of this show. You know, he's going to be a shell of a man. He already kind of is. And, you know, again, having the Admiral dress him down like that, I think was kind of bullshit. People are not going to go for it. I think the pop culture critics, though, they're kind of in the same space as a lot of these, you know, gaming journalists and comics journalists where, you know, some of them are not really hardcore fans. They're, I hate to say transient, but they tend to be kind of like transient journalists, you know, latching on to a lot of them. Not everybody, but latching on to, you know, whatever's hot that week to write about. And, you know, the reaction from a lot of corners of hardcore Star Trek fandom, which again, I don't consider myself a hardcore Star Trek fan. I did watch all the 90s shows all the way through, but I wouldn't consider myself a hardcore fan. You know, the reaction from a lot of the hardcore fans is this isn't really a good look. And to call it the best Star Trek so far, and we're only 2 episodes in, is really kind of reaching. Why they even put this out there? Well, I know why they put it out there. They put it out there to get clicks. I mean, come on, the best Star Trek ever? Come on. So I'm really curious what your thoughts are. Leave some thoughts below. Let me know what you think of the show. I've actually heard from people I thought would hate it, liked it. And, but a lot of people are just like, yeah, this is not Star Trek. This is not Star Trek. It definitely is a generic sci-fi show with the Star Trek label and characters, again, to lure you back in, you know, to get you to, you know, eat some of those member berries before they hit you with a completely different thing. I don't know how it's going to play out. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if the ratings maintain warp speed or if they falter. And we'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.